Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to the coldest episode of the year, that's for sure. So, we are out here. I just got the S23 Ultra yesterday. I got it yesterday and I went out last night and we got clouded out, but tonight it is crystal clear. I did get this one shot last night and Orion poked through all of the clouds, so I thought that was kind of cool. But I want to get more stars, so because this is S23 Ultra Astro test, so we're going to do a couple tests. I want to look at the Pro mode, the Expert RAW mode, and then the Astro mode. Oh, that's if I can feel my hands. I got to take this glove off, unfortunately. Right, so we are going to go into the camera app here. I'm going to go into Pro mode. I'm going to go with ISO 800, 30 seconds, and we're going to give that a go and see what happens. I know the light's on right now. This is a test shot. Oh yeah, that is way too bright. That is so bright.
But is that from the light being
Yeah, no, it's from their lights. Alright, so all of this light in the foreground there is from some hashtag van lifers that just rolled up. we're at the City of Rocks, so gotta deal with it. But the stars are there, so that's looking okay. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, we've got that in the Pro mode. So now I'm going to check this out. You used to have to download a video, the separate app, but now if we go in here and go to more, we can go to Expert RAW. So you no longer have to go to the Samsung app to download this. In the S23 Ultra, it is there and built in. So I've been asking for that for a while, so I'm very happy. So now that we're in there, now we can go up here and go to the star mode. And I'm going to start, we have duration of 4, 7, or 10 minutes. I'm going to start with a 4-minute exposure.
Let me turn this off.
So we'll see what happens. Don't mind the lights from the fan lifers, because there's nothing I can do about that.
Do you want this light off?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and turn this off.
Okay, so back in the studio, I can feel my hands again. So let's talk about some things. I didn't end up filming anymore because it got like pretty chaotic out there. It got like even colder and windier, and those van life people let their dogs out, and it got ridiculous. So I ended up grabbing a few more shots, and then we just ended up leaving. But fortunately, for this kind of stuff, it was already dark out there, so you didn't need to see everything. So let's just jump right into the computer. I have some thoughts. I haven't edited anything yet, so we're going to go through this and I'm going to break down a few of these images, and then we're going to edit a couple and see what we can get out of them and see if I can get anything that I'm personally happy with. And then I'll go over some of my thoughts on how I think it did. Okay, so we're here in Bridge, and I've pulled, these are all of the shots that I did in the regular Pro mode, and then these are the shots that I did in the Expert RAW app. And most of the ones in the Expert RAW I did were the Astro mode, but there's some wonkiness going on. So let's look at these first, because I'm curious to see how just the regular Pro mode did. This is the first test shot I did. The main sensor, f1.7, 30 seconds, ISO 800. I didn't really like the composition here, even though the rocks are pretty cool. I don't like that tree. So let's go to one of these ones. So here's the first one where it's getting super dark, and I think this is actually a little bit underexposed. I think probably ISO 1600 would have been more appropriate for exposure, but with the phones, the more you up the ISO, the faster that's going to break down with the noise really bad. See, maybe if it should have looked something like that, and that's +1 for exposure. So if you don't zoom in, it looks fine. But when we zoom in, you see all of that noise. And I want to see if I can clean that up just a little bit. This has already got automatic noise reduction applied. I don't know why or how it did that. So first thing I would say is definitely don't crop in on these too much. But if we look here at Orion, so you can see when you zoom into 30 seconds, it's just a little bit too long because you're getting star trails. And that's because this is an effective 24 millimeter focal length and you have a lot of pixels on this main sensor. So all of that's going to add to this being just a little bit longer. You can't go in there and tweak the shutter speed to exactly what you want like you can on a mirrorless or a DSLR. So you only have like 10, 15, 20, and 30. So maybe at 20 seconds with ISO 1600 would have been better, but you have to choose, you know, the lesser of two evils. Do you want a little bit of star trails when you crop in, or do you want more noise? Because, you know, the noise here, especially in these corners, is really bad. But overall, I mean, it's not horrible. I think we could clean this image up. This isn't the image that I want to edit though, so I won't waste your time on that. So let's go look at this one that is a 1600 ISO. So this is better for brightness. And for some reason, Bridge is like correcting, it's like giving me basic adjustments. Look at this, it's brought my, I don't know why it's doing that. That is so weird. I wonder if that was somehow applied to the DNG, or if it's reading that, or if there's some sort, because there's no auto correction turned on. So that's really weird. And look, this is already, so if we zoom in here and then bring this back down to 0, we can see that it did a little bit of noise reduction there. You can see the difference. But most of this noise reduction, you can see all the reds and the blues and stuff in here and the greens. That's the color noise. So we can try to bring that like up a lot and bring that out and get rid of that. So that's not the luminance noise. So that does look better. So here's one after it got super dark, and this is with those when the vans drove up and had their lights on. So obviously the foreground is too dark, but then you'll notice that the skies are a lot darker now. So we're still at the same 30 seconds ISO 800, but the sky is a lot darker. In fact, it's maybe a little underexposed now. And you can see the vignetting just from, you know, it looks like a combination of vignetting from the lens, but it's also the fact that, you know, this is the darker area of the night sky, and this is the area with the more light pollution. So that is kind of natural that you would see that. I want to maybe try messing with this one just a little bit. All right, so that's just some basic adjustments. And I was able to pull the highlights down to make that look a little bit better. And that's subjective, whether or not you would want to light your foregrounds. Obviously, like I said, I didn't have control of that, but sometimes I do like a lit foreground. And you've got the cool Ocotillo cactus here and the big rhyolite boulders from the City of Rocks. So, I mean, it's not horrible. I would maybe crop this part out a little bit. This is one of those apparent levels versus real level issues, because like my camera was level, but the fact that I'm on a hill right here kind of just shows this slant. But you can see that the rocks are vertical and the cactus is vertical, but you can see that slant, so it kind of throws you off a little bit. So I might crop this bright spot out and, you know, do a little bit more. All right, let's take a look at some of this expert raw stuff. So this was the first night that I tried the 4-minute exposure. I was hoping to get a little bit of the clouds there, but you can see this really did a weird stacking job with the clouds. So best not to have clouds in your shot. So this is where we start seeing some weird stuff with the metadata. So this was the main sensor, and it says 15 seconds, ISO 1600. I had this on the 4-minute Astro mode thing setting, and this is what it's giving me. So what that tells me is that this was shooting individual images at f1.7, 15 seconds, ISO 1600, and then it was stacking them together like you would do for a normal astro image. And you'll notice though that if you have a foreground, that's when the foreground starts to get really wonky because of the stacking problems and the grass is blowing in the wind and all of the focusing and all of that. But the stars themselves look similar, so they look okay. And I did a video similar to this with the S23 Ultra when this Astro mode in Expert RAW first came out, and I had that same green tint, and I think that's really weird. So, you know, we can fix that, but I don't want to edit this one. So here's the JPEG that it put out, and it just crushed everything. Interestingly though, you'll notice the stars look a lot better on this than they do in these ones. So we can look here at Orion, and this was the regular Pro mode, the 30-second one, and then this is the stacked version of the 4-minute Astro mode one, and the stars definitely look better. But the sky is overall, this is like way too dark, and it's just kind of yucky. And if we try to fix it, it's just with this JPEG that it kicked us out, it's not looking pretties. So I'm going to disregard that. So here's another one in Expert RAW mode, and this was a single 30-second ISO 800 that just like the Pro mode, but this is in the Expert RAW, so you get that extra color bit depth there, just a little bit. But what I'm curious to see, and again, this is when the van lights were on, so it did kind of light up everything nice. And the one good thing about lighting up your foreground in Astro stuff is that it hides the noise. You'll notice this was ISO 800, so there should have been a fair bit of noise there. And look at this, it didn't apply any noise reduction at all. So this is with no noise reduction applied. There is a bit of color. Noise reduction applied. We got a nice meteorite right there. In the sky here looks about the same as it did in the other 30-second Pro mode. But I do feel like this is a slightly cleaner image. I feel like this is the one that I would probably edit. So that's just some basic edits there in Camera Raw, a little before and after. Alright, so there's just a little bit more editing. Gave it a little bit of an Orton effect and a little bit of denoising and resharpening, and I think for the most part I'm happy with that. You know, with the phone images too, it's always important to know that editing is super important, but editing too much can definitely hurt your image. So I think this is probably my favorite one of the night, mostly because of the meteor right here. I think the composition's okay. Oh yeah, I need to get rid of that little low-flying airplane there. So we got a satellite right here. And we got another satellite right here. And then we got this satellite or airplane right there. Okay, so just clean those up a little bit. I'm very happy with that from a phone, you know. Obviously it's not going to replace my mirrorless cameras or anything like that, but you know, for anyone who's never been able to get into astrophotography and be able to get something like this, I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited for people to get out and experience the night sky. Okay, so here I turned around and pointed north. I ran the Astro mode for the 4-minute duration, and this is giving me again main sensor, f1.7, 15 seconds, ISO 1600. So the stars in this one look a little weird. We've got a little bit of coma. So this stuff, the way these stars are shaped like that, that's called coma. And that is also introduced, I think, from the stacking because this thing wasn't on a tracker. And then you'll notice the foreground is just completely blurred out, and that's because of the movement, again, from it stacking multiple images over a 4-minute period. The rocks here look okay, but, you know, like the mountains in the background. So this was a bit wonky. So this is compared to an expert RAW mode, but the regular single 30-second exposure. And it looks a little bit better. You know, the stars still have this wonkiness going on here. But that's a little bit from the star trails, from it being too long. And then here's another one. This again is saying 15 seconds, ISO 1600. Interestingly, this one was the 10-minute exposure that I did a 10-minute with the Astro mode, which is the most you can do. And you can see, zooming in the stars, here's Orion's Nebula. You can see that extra nebulosity flaring off there. But again, we've got that green tint, trying to get at something a little more natural. But now if I bring this up, so look at this foreground. So this is why I say that the Astro mode probably is better if you use the telephoto and just zoom in and don't have anything in the foreground, because you're getting wonkiness. So I did this shot last year, late last year, for my S22 Ultra Astro video, and this is with the 3x lens and the Astro mode and a 4-minute, the 10-minute exposure. And this is looking much better. So I didn't do that with the S23 yet, but I suspect it will give you similar results when we're looking here without the ground. But here's one I did with the S22 Ultra. Similar conditions. Here's Orion. Here's the wide angle, and this was the 10-minute exposure with the Astro mode. And this one came out a lot better. So I don't know if some focusing is going on. You can see Orion here, Betelgeuse, Mars, and the sky looks much better. In this one, when you zoom in, you can actually see some nebulosity there from Orion's Nebula, but the sky looks good. But when we come back to this one that was the S23 Ultra under the same conditions, again with a little bit of a wonky color there, but we can deal with that. It just doesn't look quite as good. For scientific purposes, having one data point is never good for comparison. So I would, if I were to do this properly, I would definitely want more data on that. And I would want more attempts if I really wanted to compare them. But so far, I'm not seeing any major improvement over the S22 Ultra, at least when it comes to the Astro mode. They look pretty similar to me in what they're capable of doing. I am pretty happy with this shot. Again, coming from a phone, I think that's pretty cool. All right, so there was kind of my first look at the Astro. I will say I had moments of like seriously not impressed, and maybe not impressed, but at least like at least seeing that it's no worse than anything else that's come before it. I was surprised though. I was hoping maybe with the new sensor and the new chips and everything, so I was hoping for maybe a little bit better with the algorithms for the Astro mode in the Expert RAW. It doesn't seem to be really any different from the S22 Ultra. So if you're looking, you know, to upgrade specifically from that, I mean, for the cameras in general, if you're looking to upgrade, so far, again, I've only used it a couple times, and I did the landscape video. So if you haven't seen that, you can go check it out if you're interested in landscape photography with the phone. I did that with the S23 Ultra, but you know, I haven't really seen anything that would warrant, because of the price of this phone, I haven't seen anything that would warrant an upgrade for camera specifics. Now, if you're coming from anything older, you know, from an S20 Ultra or older, this is going to be a major upgrade, and I do think it's worth considering if your budget allows, because the cameras from a couple of generations ago to now on the Samsungs, big leap, big leap. If it wasn't for this YouTube channel and, you know, I know that these videos are going to make me more money than I paid for the phone. So that's pretty much the only reason that I upgraded. Otherwise, I was totally fine with my S22 Ultra. And I know that's not what some people want to hear, but that's just my experience. So this isn't a full review of the camera system or anything like that. This is just the Astro and this is only the first Astro. I'm going to do at least 2 more episodes. I have some ideas for 2 more Astro stuff, and of course the Milky Way. I will do photographing the Milky Way with it, but I have to wait for the Milky Way to come up, you know, so that's going to be another, usually about in April is when I'm willing to go out at, you know, 2, 3, 4 in the morning to get it over the horizon enough for some sort of decent image. So Milky Way on this is coming. I will do the other Astro episode that I want to try is a Star Trails episode. I have a very interesting shot, I think, that I can pull off in my mind. So I'm going to try to make that work, and I'm just waiting for the moon and the clouds to align properly so that I have enough moon to get my landscape and no clouds. So I'll be doing another one with that, and we'll walk you guys through and show you how to create a full Star Trail shot like this, but with this phone. But if you guys have any questions about the Astro stuff specifically, leave those in the comments below and I will try to answer them. If you are still here, I super appreciate it. Let me know what you think overall about the Astro modes. But I'm still happy, I think, with the images that I got personally. I would definitely post this one, and I probably will post this one on my Instagram. And I think for stuff like that, for social media and sharing and all that stuff, it's super cool. I still would never compare this kind of stuff to my real astrophotography and my bigger cameras and stuff, but you know, like I keep saying, it's just this stuff shouldn't be compared to that. Comparison of this is the thief of joy. That's one of my favorite quotes. You know, when you are constantly comparing things in your life and things to other things, it robs you of the joy that you're going to get out of those things or out of your life. So the takeaway here is the Astro mode is cool. It's improving. It's amazing for what it is, and if it allows you to get out and capture something that you've never captured before, then that's the most important thing. That's the most important takeaway. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna finish editing this video. I'm gonna go have second breakfast, and I will see you out there very shortly for some more content. If you want to see some more phone stuff, you can go check out my other S22 Ultra playlists and all of the stuff before that. Or just my regular Astro videos where I use bigger cameras if you're interested in, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So I'll see you out there in the next video. Thanks for watching.